All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is VC Pramod. The headlines. BJP Legislative Party to meet today in Dehradun to elect a new leader. Uttarakhand Governor accepts Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat's resignation. Election Commission orders removal of West Bengal Director General of Police. Scrutiny of nominations for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal today. President Ram Nath Kovind on a 3-day visit to Tamil Nadu to attend annual convocation of Tiruvallur University in Vellore. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Japanese counterpart Mr. Suga Yoshihide, exchange views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. Maitri Setu to strengthen economic ties and communication between India and Bangladesh, says Prime Minister. India's GDP to expand by 12.6%, says Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. High-level meeting held to review status and progress of COVID vaccination across states and union territories. National vaccination coverage approaching 2.5 crores. And Uttar Pradesh government to launch campaign to make golden cards of Ayushman Bharat scheme today. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. In Uttarakhand, the BJP Legislative Party meeting will be held this forenoon at party headquarters in Dehradun to elect a new leader of the Legislative Party. Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat submitted his resignation to Governor Srimati Baby Rani Maurya yesterday. The Governor accepted his resignation and asked him to remain the acting Chief Minister till the appointment of a new Chief Minister in the state. More from our Dehradun correspondent.
BJP National Vice President and former Chief Minister Dr. Raman Singh along with party senior leader Dushyant Kumar has reached Dehradun. They will attend the party legislative meeting as party observer which is scheduled in the forenoon. All the BJP MLAs are also in the state capital to choose the new leader of the legislative party. According to party sources, Union Minister Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, Rajya Sabha member Anil Baluni and Dr. Dhan Singh Rawat, State Minister Independent Charge in Trivendra Singh Rawat government are the front runner for the post of Chief Minister. It is said that BJP may appoint a Deputy CM in the state also. Raghavesh Pandey, EIR News, Dehradun.
In Uttarakhand, the BJP Legislative Party meeting will be held this forenoon. I beg your pardon? The Election Commission ordered the removal of West Bengal Director General of Police, Virendra, yesterday. It has appointed P. Neeraj Nayan as DG and IGP in his place with immediate effect. In its order, the poll body also directed the State Chief Secretary not to give any post to Mr. Virendra that directly or indirectly relates to the conduct of election. The EC said the decision has been taken after reviewing the poll preparedness in the state. The Commission has also asked for a compliance report to be submitted by 10 a.m. today. In another order, the poll panel has directed to transfer IRS officer K.G. Arunraj from Tamil Nadu and attach him with the CBDT headquarters immediately.
The scrutiny of nomination for the first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal will be held today. The last date of withdrawal of candidature is on 12th of March. The filing of nominations for the first phase ended last evening. In this phase, 30 assembly constituencies across 5 districts will go to polls on 27th of this month in West Bengal. The elections in the state will be held in 8 phases from 27th March to 29th April. Counting will take place on 2nd of May. In Assam, 47 seats will go to the polls in the first phase on the 27th of this month. In Kerala, as assembly polls are approaching, seat-sharing talks with various fronts are in final stage. A report from our Trivandrum correspondent.
The CPM candidate list has been finalized. The list is reported to be published today after the approval of the party Politburo. Meanwhile, CPI declared candidates for 21 seats. Discussions are in final stage in UDF. Senior leaders are in New Delhi to attend the screening committee meeting regarding the candidate selection. The list will be declared after getting assent of the party high command. Meanwhile, the BJP state president K. Surendran said that the list of the candidates will be published after the party electoral committee meeting scheduled to be held at Thrissur tomorrow. The list will be published by the central leadership. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In the Union Territory of Puducherry, BJP finalized its electoral pact with NR Congress and AIADMK. BJP in charge of Puducherry, Nirmal Kumar Surana, announced that the party will contest polls under the leadership of NR Congress founder leader N. Rangaswamy. More from our Puducherry correspondent.
The NR Congress will contest 16 seats, while the BJP and AIADMK will contest the remaining 14 seats of the 30 seats Legislative Assembly. The AIADMK and BJP will decide their share of seats will be declared soon, said Mr. Surana. However, there was no commitment on the chief ministerial candidate. It is said that the legislators will decide the chief minister after the elections. Former Congress Minister Malladi Krishna Rao announced earlier that N. Rangaswamy will contest from Yanam constituency of the Union Territory. The Patali Makkal Katchi announced that PMK will contest 12 constituencies in Puducherry and 3 constituencies in Karaikal independently. PMK has been given 23 seats in Tamil Nadu in the BJP-ADMK alliance. Chandra Mohan, AR News, Puducherry.
The Election Commission of India has decided to double the broadcast time allotted to each national party and recognized state party on All India Radio and Doordarshan in poll-bound states of Assam, Kerala, Puducherry, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal. The Commission took the decision in consultation with the Prasar Bharati Corporation, considering the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and enhanced relevance of non-contact-based campaign.
President Ramnath Kovind is on a 3-day visit to Tamil Nadu. He will leave for Vellore by helicopter and attend the 16th annual convocation at Thiruvalluvar University. State Governor Banwarilal Purohit will preside over the function. Earlier, he arrived at Chennai yesterday and was received by Tamil Nadu Governor Banwarilal Purohit, Chief Secretary Rajiv Ranjan and other top officials. More from our Chennai correspondent.
President Ramnath Kovind will confer doctorate degrees to 217 students in the function. 35 students will be given their graduate and 31 students will get their postgraduate degrees during the convocation. A total of more than 80,000 students will be getting their graduate and postgraduate and MPhil degrees from the university this year. The President will visit the Golden Temple at Sripuram, Vellore in the afternoon, after which he will return to Chennai. Tomorrow, the President will attend the 41st annual convocation at the Anna University, after which he will depart Delhi by Indian Air Force flight. Joy, AR News, Chennai.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a fruitful conversation with his Japanese counterpart, Mr. Suga Yoshihide, on the progress of India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership yesterday. The two leaders expressed satisfaction at the positive momentum in India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership in the last few years, guided by mutual trust and shared values. They appreciated that bilateral exchanges were maintained over the last year despite the COVID-19 pandemic. They also welcomed the recent signing of the Memorandum of Cooperation on Specified Skilled Workers, SSW, and looked forward to its early implementation. Prime Minister Modi noted the Mumbai-Ahmedabad High-Speed Rail MAHSR project as a shining example of India-Japan bilateral strategic partnership and expressed his commitment to its successful implementation. The two leaders further exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual interest and concurred that the partnership between the two countries could play a pivotal role in addressing common challenges. In this regard, they emphasized that their engagement with like-minded countries such as Australia and the US in the form of Quad consultations holds value and agreed that these useful discussions must continue. The leaders agreed to celebrate in a befitting manner the 70th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries that falls in 2022. Prime Minister Modi invited his Japanese counterpart to visit India at the earliest for the annual bilateral summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in the first Leaders Summit of the Quadrilateral Framework on Friday, along with Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, Prime Minister of Japan, Yoshihide Suga, and US President Joe Biden. The meet will be held virtually. The leaders will discuss regional and global issues of shared interest and exchange views on practical areas of cooperation towards maintaining a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. The summit will provide an opportunity to exchange views on contemporary challenges such as resilient supply chains, emerging and critical technologies, maritime security and climate change. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will flag off the re-enact of Mahatma Gandhi's historic Dandi March from Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad on Friday. The marchers will reach Dandi on the sea coast of South Gujarat from Sabarmati Ashram by walking through the 386-kilometer original route of historic Dandi March. This was announced by the Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani while presiding over the state-level high-powered committee meeting held at significant role in India's freedom struggle will celebrate the Amrit Mahotsav of India's independence in a grand manner. During the meeting, the deliberations were also held for organizing many programs such as cycle and bike rallies, various competitions, programs on the themes like Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat and Atmanirbhar Bharat. The aim to celebrate the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is to attract the maximum participation from children, youths and citizens and spread the message of Mahatma Gandhi. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will flag off the reenactment of historic Dandi March from Sabarmati Gandhi Ashram on 12th March. These 81 pedestrians will walk all the way to Dandi on the sea coast 386 km away from Sabarmati Gandhi Ashram. Mr. Rupani said that the marchers will halt at 21 places on their way and attend variety of events. These include the socio-economic changes taking place in the field of cleanliness, environment, security and water conservation. These events have been designed to foretell the steps India needs to take to be Vishwaguru for celebrating the centenary of India's independence 25 years from now. Apart from these, the variety of programs have been organized at 75 places associated with Mahatma Gandhi's life and contributions in Gujarat. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated Maitri Setu between India and Bangladesh through video conferencing. The Maitri Setu has been built over Feni River, which flows along the Indian boundary between Tripura and Bangladesh. The 1.9 kilometer long bridge, costing 133 crore rupees, joins Sabroom in India with Ramgarh in Bangladesh. The Prime Minister also launched infrastructure projects in Tripura. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Modi said the bridge will boost connectivity between both the countries.
सबरूम और रामगढ़ के बीच सेतु से हमारी मैत्री भी मजबूत हुई है और भारत बांग्लादेश की समृद्धि का कनेक्शन भी जुड़ गया है। बीते कुछ वर्षों में भारत बांग्लादेश के बीच लैंड, रेल और वाटर कनेक्टिविटी के लिए जो समझौते जमीन पर उतरे हैं, इस सेतु से वो और मजबूत हुए हैं। इससे त्रिपुरा के साथ साथ दक्षिणी असम, मिजोरम, मणिपुर की बांग्लादेश और साउथ ईस्ट एशिया के दूसरे देशों से कनेक्टिविटी सशक्त होगी।
Said Maitri Setu will not only boost the production of various bamboo products, but will also widen the pineapple and agarbatti business in Agartala. He said with the opening of the Feni Bridge, Agartala will become the first Indian city closest to an international seaport. He said the friendship has been strengthened by this bridge and it will also strengthen economic activities in both the countries. The Prime Minister said the Setu will improve the connectivity in Bangladesh and improve communication between people of both the countries. Mr. Modi said that Tripura is experiencing the clear difference between the 30 years of earlier governments and the double-engine government of the last 3 years. He informed that in the past 6 years, the central government has taken care of every requirement for the development of Tripura. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said that Dhaka is attaching priority to maximize the use of its geographical location to make it a connectivity hub between South and Southeast Asia. In her video message on the occasion of the inauguration of the Maitri Setu on Feni River, connecting Sabroom in Tripura with Ramgarh in Bangladesh, Prime Minister Hasina expressed the hope that it will also help Bangladesh trade more easily, not only with India, but also with Nepal and Bhutan. Calling the opening of the Maitri Setu as historic, Prime Minister Hasina said that it will not only create connectivity between the two countries, but also play a significant role in business, trade and economic development.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted the courageous Central Industrial Security Forces CISF personnel and their families on their raising day. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said their role in furthering national safety and progress is deeply valued. Prime Minister said in 2019 he had attended the raising day celebrations of CISF. Home Minister Amit Shah has saluted the devotion and sacrifice of courageous CISF personnel on their raising day. He said from shielding India's vital establishments to serving the nation during disasters, CISF plays a key role in country's growth. Prime Minister Narendra Modi released 11 volumes of manuscript with commentaries by 21 scholars on shlokas of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in New Delhi yesterday. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Modi said that India is moving forward towards its path of development along with Gita's mantra. Prime Minister said Srimad Bhagavad Gita taught us how to serve the world and the people. He said Gita is for the whole world and has taught the world about selfless service.
और मैं जब गीता को देखता हूं तो मेरे लिए ये उस विश्व रूप समान है जिसका दर्शन हमें 11वें अध्याय में होता है। मम देहे गुणाकेश यच्च अन्नत दृष्टमो इच्छसि, अर्थात मुझ में जो कुछ भी देखना चाहो देख सकते हो, हर विचार हर शक्ति के दर्शन कर सकते हो। गीता के विश्व रूप ने महाभारत से लेकर आजादी की लड़ाई तक हर कालखंड में हमारे राष्ट्र का पथ प्रदर्शन किया है।
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. BJP Legislative Party to meet today in Dehradun to elect new leader. Uttarakhand Governor accepts Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat's resignation. Election Commission orders removal of West Bengal Director General of Police. Scrutiny of nominations for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal today. President Ramnath Kovind on a 3-day visit to Tamil Nadu to attend annual convocation of Tiruvallur University in Vellore. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Japanese counterpart Mr. Suga Yoshihide, exchange views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. Maitri Setu to strengthen economic activities and communication between India and Bangladesh, says Prime Minister. India's GDP to expand by 12.6%, says Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. High-level meeting held to review status and progress of COVID vaccination across states and union territories. National vaccination coverage approaching 2.5 crore. Uttar Pradesh government to launch campaign to make golden cards of Ayushman Bharat scheme today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the morning news. The Lok Sabha did not carry out any legislative business for the second yesterday as the opposition stalled the proceedings amid din over the hike in the prices of the petroleum products. After 2 adjournments due to disruptions caused by opposition members, mainly from the Congress who were protesting against the rise in fuel prices, the House was adjourned for the day a little after 2 p.m. During the question hour at around 11 a.m., Speaker Om Birla had to adjourn the House till 12 noon following protests over the rising fuel prices. When the House reconvened at 2 p.m., several opposition members raised the same issue. As the noisy protests continued, Rajendra Agarwal, who was chairing the proceedings, adjourned the proceedings for the day. Attacking Rahul Gandhi over his comments on creating a separate ministry for fisheries, Union Minister Giriraj Singh, Minister of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries, said that the Congress leader should be sent to school so that he knows what ministries and departments exist under the central government. The Rajya Sabha also did not transact any business for the second day after opposition members led by the Congress created uproar over rising prices of petroleum products. The House was adjourned twice in the pre-lunch period, first around 11:20 a.m. and then a few minutes after noon. When the House met at 2 p.m., Deputy Chairman Harivansh urged the protesting members to allow the proceedings to continue, but the unrelenting opposition members trooped into the well and raised slogans, forcing its adjournment finally for the day. The House could not transact any business and only 2 questions could be taken up, but the replies remained inaudible in the din. The situation was the same when the House reassembled at 2 p.m. as the opposition members continued to demand a discussion on rise in fuel prices. The Deputy Chairman appealed to the protesting members, including those in the well, to return to their seats. He said the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2021 should be taken up as it sought to replace the ordinance. But the unrelenting opposition members continued with their protests. Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad also insisted on taking up the bill, saying its passage is essential. Congress Deputy Leader Anand Sharma said, according to the tradition of the House, no government bill is taken up amid the din. He insisted that the opposition has the right to take up the issue. Amid the uproar, the Deputy Chairman adjourned the House for the day. Yesterday was the first time after almost a year that the House resumed its normal timings from 11 a.m. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, has raised the projection for India's economic growth rate by 4.7% points at 12.6% for 2021-22. That would enable India to retain its earlier tag of the fastest growing large economy in the world. A report.
The OECD in its interim report on economic outlook said activity moved above pre-pandemic levels in India, helped by strong fiscal and quasi-fiscal measures and a recovery in manufacturing and construction. It, however, pegged economic growth rate to come down to 5.4% in 2022-23, which would be higher by 0.6 percentage points than its earlier estimates. The Indian economy was projected to decline by 8% in the current fiscal year. However, OECD believes that contraction would be less steep at 7.4%. In the report titled Strengthening the Recovery, the Need for Speed, OECD said fiscal measures announced in India and a few other countries would help growth in 2021-22 as well. Additional discretionary fiscal measures announced in several countries during the past 3 months will add to the overall support, including in US, Japan, Germany, Canada and India, the report said. The OECD also unveiled major upgrades to its global outlook. Tanvi Khurana, AIR News.
Principal Secretary to Prime Minister Dr. P.K. Mishra chaired a high-level meeting yesterday to review the status and progress of COVID vaccination across states and union territories. The meeting was attended by Chief Secretaries and the officers involved in the vaccination process in the states and UT. The Health Secretary apprised the meeting on India achieving the landmark of administering more than 20 lakh doses in a single day. The country is approaching 2.5 crore total vaccination coverage, powered by the fastest recent growth in vaccination globally. Dr. P.K. Mishra commended all officials across the central and state governments for their vital role in the successful rollout of the world's largest vaccination drive. He also reiterated the need to continue this momentum in a sustained manner. Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba advised the states to ramp up the speed of vaccination to cover as many eligible people as possible. States were asked to prepare a detailed roadmap for the next 3 months. During the meeting, it was informed that there is no shortage of vaccine doses in any state and UT. All states were advised to register and activate all private facilities and also provide sufficient stock of vaccines to the private facilities for 15 to 28 days so that these facilities can offer online open slots to citizens. Principal Secretary to Prime Minister asked all the senior officials to work through a scientific, evidence-based, micro-planned, area-specific approach to ensure convenient and safe vaccination for all.
In Himachal Pradesh, India's oldest water master, Shyam Saran Negi, at 103 years of age, was administered with the first jab of COVID-19 vaccine in Kinnaur district yesterday. Shyam Saran Negi, who retired as a school teacher, is believed to be India's oldest voter who hails from the tribal Kinnaur district. More in this report.
A retired school teacher, Master Shyam Saran Negi, was accorded a warm welcome by doctors at the vaccination center set up in the Primary Health Center, Kalpa, in Kinnaur district yesterday. After receiving the vaccination, he urged all eligible to get inoculated to fight against COVID-19. It may be recalled that the centenarian, who is a firm believer of democracy, has never failed to cast his vote in any election. He had also participated in the 1951-52 general elections, which was the first voting exercise of independent India. Sanjeev Sundaryal, AIR News, Shimla.
Uttar Pradesh government will launch a campaign to make golden cards of Ayushman Bharat scheme today across the state. Our correspondent reports that the campaign aims to drive awareness about Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, ABPMJ, across state and enable beneficiaries, especially those residing in rural and remote areas, to avail cashless healthcare worth 5 lakh rupees per family per year.
The campaign will be rolled out from today and will continue till 24th of March. Under the campaign, free Ayushman Golden Cards will be given to those families who have still not taken the benefit of the scheme. Golden Cards will be made at Panchayat offices, Anganwadi centers, primary schools, health and wellness centers, community health centers, and will be available at PDS shops also. The initiative is focused on generating large-scale awareness about the scheme and its benefits, accelerating the Ayushman card generation and increasing utilization. Recently, the Chief Secretary of State said that still more than 1 crore 26 lakh families need to get golden cards. Till now, 1 crore 20 lakh beneficiaries have got their golden cards. Government has allocated 1300 crore rupees for Ayushman Bharat scheme and 142 crore rupees for Ayushman Bharat Mukhyamantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. In national capital Delhi, the maximum temperature will be around 31 degrees Celsius. The minimum temperature was 19 degrees, while it experienced light rain yesterday at many places. Mumbai, with a mainly clear sky, will have a maximum temperature of 36 degrees Celsius. The lower temperature will be 21 degrees. Chennai is likely to have a partly cloudy sky with a maximum temperature rising up to 33 degrees Celsius. It recorded the minimum temperature of 24 degrees. Kolkata will also have a partly cloudy sky. Srinagar will have a generally cloudy sky, and there is also a possibility of light rain. Jammu will have partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Leh will have partly cloudy sky, is likely to have maximum temperature of just 8 degrees. Minimum temperature was -5 degrees Celsius. Gilgit, with a partly cloudy sky, will have a maximum temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. The minimum temperature was 8 degrees. Muzaffarabad will have a partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night with a maximum temperature of 23 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. All the newspapers today have the headlines on the Uttarakhand Chief Minister stepping down. The Tribune writes, promised big responsibility at centre. Legislative party meet today to pick a new face. Medical journal Lancet has confirmed Desi Covaxin safe with no serious side effects, reports the Pioneer. Violations in proper wearing of masks prompts a Delhi High Court judge to issue a fresh guideline. The Hindu writes, wear masks properly or get off plane. The Times of India on its front page observes, UAE debuts in top 10 corporate tax havens. The Delhi government budget presentation hogs the limelight in the dailies today. Big push to health in capital's budget, notes Hindustan Times. The paper adds, Delhi set to increase vaccination capacity. Education remains key thrust area in outlay of finances. And finally, an Asian Age headline quotes the Deputy CM of Delhi saying, Delhi will bid for 2048 Olympic Games.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. BJP Legislative Party to meet today in Dehradun to elect a new leader. Uttarakhand Governor accepts Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat's resignation. Election Commission orders removal of West Bengal Director General of Police. Scrutiny of nominations for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal today. President Ram Nath Kovind on a 3-day visit to Tamil Nadu to attend annual convocation of Tiruvalluvar University in Vellore. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Japanese counterpart Mr. Suga Yoshihide. Exchange views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. Maitri Setu to strengthen economic activities and communication between India and Bangladesh, says Prime Minister. India's GDP to expand by 12.6%, says Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. High-level meeting held to review status and progress of COVID vaccination across states and union territories. National vaccination coverage approaching 2.5 crore. Uttar Pradesh government to launch campaign to make golden cards of Ayushman Bharat scheme today. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.